All right, so I am Hunter with Nelson Insurance. We are a trucking insurance agency here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm just going to get into the basics of trucking insurance. These videos, this be like one of the first ones. They're going to be unedited. I'm just going to post them. Going to be raw content. So yeah, I mean, I'm just going to kind of get into it here on the introduction to trucking insurance, what you need to know. Trucking insurance, it's kind of a tough one. I mean, a lot of people do personal lines because there's a lot of clients for it. It's usually pretty dang cut and dry. You got to know the endorsements on the policy. Have access to a couple carriers who are really going to give you access fairly easily. I mean, yeah, there's exclusive personal line insurance carriers out there, but nothing like deal with the trucking side. But with trucking, I mean, if you screw something up, you could be on the hook for $1 million claim. You could cost these guys their authority and be sued like crazy. When I first got into trucking insurance, I actually got a letter from a lawyer. It was nothing to do with me, but it was actually an underwriter's fault, and it was resolved very quickly, but still definitely a scary deal. I am not going to sit here and fake any of this stuff. I'm not going to tell you how great trucking insurance is, how great I am, how my agency is one of a kind. Really, I mean, I've made mistakes. Right now, I am paying back a good chunk of money to an MGA because I screwed something up on the payments, and the insurer went out of business. It was my fault for not collecting on the premium up front. Tried to help the guy out, do a favor, and I'm paying it back. I mean, it's an expensive mistake. So I'm gonna kind of run through some of that stuff here. So let's quote the BS and let's just get into it here. So I have in my portal for my intranet for all my employees trucking 101, so that way if they come from not knowing the industry, anything along those lines, they can figure out trucking pretty quick. Primary coverages, I mean, you got your auto liability. It's the main thing. That's where the filings come from. I'll get into the filings here in a second. Physical damage, that's your comp and collision. It's just called physical damage in trucking. You have motor truck cargo. You have non-trucking liability. Non-trucking liability is bobtail is what people call it. Bobtail is when the truck is hauling with, or not hauling, but the truck is moving with no trailer attached. That's why I call it a bobtail policy. It is liability that's going to cover the truck when they are not under an authority hauling anything. It's going to the gas station. It's going home, going to the grocery store real quick, whatever the case is. So it's extremely cheap. I mean, it's like $500, $700 a year. But yeah, I mean, so the example when that come into play is if I have a trucking company, Hunter's Trucking Company, I let 5 owner operators lease onto me. Leasing on my authority, they're gonna put my DOT information inside their truck. My name's gonna be the bill of lading, all that stuff. And then when they're hauling for me, and it's my information's on the bill of lading using my MC number, then they're covered under my auto liability. I have to provide that auto liability. I have to provide the cargo. Since they own the truck, they're an owner operator, they are going to provide the physical damage, and they're going to get bobtail insurance, NTL, non-trucking liability. Trailer interchange. This is one right here where you can cause you some problems. Trailer interchange is not the same as non-owned trailer physical damage. They basically cover the same thing. Very, very similar coverages. Trailer interchange requires a trailer interchange agreement. If that cannot be provided at claims time, you are going to have no coverage, and you're going to sell somebody something where they're going to have no coverage and then be attached to a $100,000 trailer. You are going to get sued. So if you're going to sell somebody trailer interchange, make sure they have a trailer interchange agreement and you have it on file. Otherwise, get them non-owned trailer physical damage. General liability. General liability is really cheap because most of their day spent in the truck. It's auto liability right there. General liability could be, I mean, they're just weird claim examples. If you have delivered a load and something happens there after you have left, that is going to be a general liability. A claim example I know of is a company but did max faxes to everybody. And one company got included on every single fax and it just blew up their phone line. This was years ago. Blew up their phone lines and couldn't get anything, and they got sued, and they actually ended up being a big claim because of loss of revenue. Another guy was a dispatcher. Trucker comes in, oh, hey buddy, how you doing? grabs his shoulder. He just had neck surgery, and I don't know. I guess he wasn't wearing something that showed he just had neck surgery, but re-broke his neck and turned into $1 million claim. Medical payment is pretty self-explanatory on an underinsured. Don't be that guy that is not someone underinsured. I mean, you're paying 20, I don't know, maybe not 20 grand, but you're paying 15, 10, 20 grand for the truck. On an underinsured is literally like a couple bucks. On an underinsured can hurt the insured actually. So if you have some brokerage markets like Canal giving you state minimum limits, there's a reason. It's because if you have drivers, or if you're not a one-man show, they're drivers, they can go after the owner to collect more on an underinsured if you don't work comp. So what you do is you replace up work comp, have lower limits. I'm not recommending anybody anything. This is not, I don't want to take on any exposure. This is just what I've heard. Work comp could be a really good fit in that situation there. Works comp, pretty self-explanatory. Occupational accidents, like work comp, but for 1099s, your owner operators, right? It's not exactly like work comp, but it's similar coverage. It also will cover, like, it can cover dental, vision. It's just got some, like, perks in there. But, yeah, it's like an accident policy. Umbrella, excess, pretty self-explanatory. Pollution is actually a pretty big deal with transportation. You may not think, but a reefer is going to be having a pollution exposure. Grain is going to have a pollution exposure. Obviously, hazmat has a pollution exposure. Grain can come in because ethanol is made from grain. You make alcohol from grain, all sort of stuff. So it gets in the ground, ferments, and whatever. That can actually be called a pollution or that can actually be a pollution exposure. The EPA could order somebody to clean it up, go find the carrier. The carrier as in the motor carrier. The state could do it, whatever. Reefer, you're hauling ice cream. If you're hauling milk, if you're hauling whatever. I'm going to shoot here's just a common claim example. Not a common one, but this guy was hauling lukewarm water in a tanker. And water's not hazardous, right? Hauling it up in New York, and water got out, spilled, or it got into an accident, spilled into a stream. Well, the rise in temp, since it's a cold stream, killed a bunch of trout, and the city sued it, or the state sued him for $276,000. So there's that. Your cargo policy might have $25,000 in pollution cleanup. That obviously ain't gonna do it there. I had a milk hauler. Milk's not hazardous, but same deal applies there. I have a guy who runs the program over to Amwins, and he said his largest claim was milk hauler. So, and he insures hazmat. So, different types of operations. You've got hazardous. You've got intermodal. Intermodal is like shipping containers. Intermodal means multiple forms of transportation. So they're coming off the boat, they're going onto the truck, could be going on a plane, could be going on a train, whatever the case is. That's why intermodal is the word. Reefer, refrigerated unit, hot shot, pickup trucks, cargo van, sprinter van, livestock, you're hauling animals, logging. If you're hauling a couple poles or something, like telephone poles or whatever the case is, it's not really considered logging. Logging's got its own exposure, as in you're going on logging trails. You could be directly contracted with a logger. Garbage truck, pretty self-explanatory. Cement mixer. Lowboy. Lowboy is a low trailer. Usually means you're going oversized. So if you got a lowboy trailer, step deck, anything like that, you're probably hauling oversized. They sit real low, so they can go under bridges with tall loads or oversized loads. I think the thing, I can't remember, but if it's, I think maybe, I could totally be wrong on this, so I don't know exactly, but I think it's over 6 inches off on each side, or maybe it's overhanging at all on each side of the flatbed or drop deck or whatever it is. Whatever trailer you're using, it's considered oversized, so there's that. Dry van is exactly what you see. It's your typical semi-trailer. Heavy haul, oversized, we just talked about that. Bulk hauler, kind of like a bottom dump. There's belly dumps, side dumps, end dumps, hopper bottoms, pneumatic trailers. There's a million different these little bulk trailers. So you can be hauling anything from cement to grain to hay to seed. There's walking, what do they call them? Walking beds? I think it's walking beds. Little pieces go back and forth and kind of pushes it out slowly. Expensive trailers. Auto hauler, typically you're going to be having 5, 7, or 9 autos on the back of it. Obviously you're going to be needing higher cargo limits. Last mile delivery is last mile. It's typically going to homes. Last mile delivery is not always going to be like going to the retail. Like if you're delivering to a Walmart or anything like that, it's not typically considered last mile. Last mile is like appliance installation, anything along those lines. Oil field trucks, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. You got fracking water, you got oil field equipment, anything like that. Those guys are going to be needed the $1 million in liability. House of good mover, home to home, standing gravel, could be any of the dump stuff, dump trucks. So there's that. A lot of people don't like standing gravel. Types of carriers: there's private carriers, common carriers, contract, freight forwarders. Private, hauling their own goods. Common means they're using the spot market. That's load boards, DAT, truck stop, what's RTS, anything on those lines. Contract, they got direct customers. You could definitely be both. Sometimes these direct customers slow down and you need to go hit the spot market. So then you got to go get loads from them. For hire, private, owner operator, common. Here's a big thing: the Carmack Act, the Carmack Amendment means that common carriers are not liable for these actions outlined in the following chart. Negligence or fault of the shipper. They cannot be sued for that. Inherent vice of natural goods is being shipped. So, for example, if they haul fruit and the fruit goes bad while they're hauling it, but it's nothing on their fault. The reefer sets the wrong temp. It was just getting old, and sure enough, the day or two in shipment or on the road, it went bad. Nothing you do there. You can't be sued for that. Acts of God, acts of public enemy, and acts of public authority. Whew, man, there's a lot of trucking lingo I have got here. DOT, Department of Transportation, FMCSA, MC number. Let's just talk about the main things. MC number. If you have a DOT, it means your truck's over 10,000 pounds. MC number means you are a motor carrier, for hire motor carrier. You are crossing state lines. You are not exempt for hire. You have an active authority. If you do not put federal filings, the MCS 90 is the attachment to the policy. BMC 91X is what's filed with the FMCSA. They're together just called federal filings. So if you are quoting Berkshire and it says, do you need federal filings? They have an MC number. You can see their insurance on Safer or CAP or Carrier Software. You better dang sure put that frickin' on there, otherwise you're going to put these guys out of business. If they lose their authority, I think for like 11 days is what it maybe is, they cannot reactivate it. They have to they have to reapply, and it almost puts them as a new authority. And to go back to hauling for TQL. So there's that. ELD's electronic logging device. This is what logs their miles. It can frickin' tell you when the windows are open or closed. Hours of service, if you see those violations, that is going to be dealing with the driving limits, like your 11 hours a day, 8 hours at a time. Basics are, your 7 categories. What are the 7 categories? Hours of service: crash, drug and alcohol, vehicle maintenance, unsafe driving, driver fitness, and I'm missing one here, but hazmat. IFTAs are the International Fuel Tax Agreement. You gotta file IFTA miles, and so like if an insurance company goes, hey, I need last 4 quarters of IFTAs, it's last year of IFTAs, and so it's basically just a document that they gotta file. A lot of them will do it themselves, or they'll just go work with somebody to go grab it. A lot of insurance companies want 2 years plus CDL. COI is a certificate of insurance. I'm basically just going through all the acronyms here. PD, physical damage, if you guys don't know what PD is. BOL. Bill of lading. If you guys don't know what a bill of lading is, it's a document between like the broker, the shipper, the motor carrier, all that stuff saying, hey, they're going to be hauling this load. It's this weight. It's this value. Whatever. It's going from here to here. This is the agreed amount that we're going to pay for it. Typically, if a trucker's their average cost per mile is typically like, what is it, like $2.09 a mile or something? So, they got your, what do you make in true mile? That means like if you're hauling $4 out, 500 miles, deadheading or bobtailing back, and $0. It means your true mile, like what you're earning on is $2. So that'd be garbage. But So that's why you typically want a bobtail back. Usually they're just be picking up a load for like $2, so that at least just covers their costs, and that makes it $3 for the trip mile. Day cab is a semi with no sleeper in the back. Power only means they're going no trailer or whatever. So I think there's guys all the time where they're just hauling power only. They're being provided the trailers by somebody else. Like Amazon does that. You know. Talk about federal filings. Talk about all that stuff. Oh, there's state filings. Form E. Form E is state filings. I really have never had anybody really have this or really need this besides like Texas and Iowa are the two most common states. I get a couple people in Ohio, Pennsylvania maybe. But yeah, don't forget about state filings. Let's see here. Minimum requirements on the liability provided. You got $750,000 for general freight. You got $1 million for oil field equipment and low grade hazmat. $5 million for highly hazardous materials, chemicals, anything of that nature, radioactive, anything on those lines. So fracking water, for example, is considered hazardous. It typically just needs $1 million in liability because fracking water has just got a little bit of oil mixed in it. It's the water pulled out of the oil, so it's not going to be pure water, but I got a little bit of that there. We had a guy hauling fertilizer, not liquid fertilizer, but fertilizer was a little bit of hazardous. So then he needed $1 million in liability. Had a guy hauling batteries. I think it had lithium in it, so it was, or the lithium batteries. So then they needed $1 million there. Form H cargo filing. BMC 34 is for brokers. So there is that. Key things to kind of go over here: broad coverage obligations, reimbursement. So kind of red flags. I mean, if I frankly I don't even know if Safer shows this. I only use Cab. I don't go like a Safer. Cab is also really expensive. If you guys want Cab, it's expensive. I mean, it's really good though. I mean, I pay for it happily. Carrier software can be a little bit cheaper depending on the state, but I think if you get all states, it's actually a little more expensive. I couldn't tell you for sure there. I just went with Cab because they're a big name and people recommend them to me. But there's like chameleon carriers that will pop up. Chameleon carriers means that it's like same name, same address, email, something on those lines where it pulls two of the same things from another option. So typically chameleon carriers are extremely frowned upon because 90% of the time, 99% of the time, it is them trying to hide their poor safety scores from before. And so if you see a chameleon carrier, you got to ask about it for sure because otherwise underwriters will find out about it. Different classes, CDL, all type of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's just the knowing a little bit about the trucking industry. It's the basics, right? I'm not going to get into the carriers and all that stuff. I'll make other videos on that. But that is the basics of it. Knowing the trucking space, understand the lingo, understand what they're doing. So if you're talking to some guy and he goes, hey, yeah, I'm hauling general freight on a step deck. Ask that question. I mean, really, is it general freight? Give me examples of what you're hauling. I kid you not, like 2 weeks ago, I had a guy go, yeah, I'm hauling general freight. Okay, great. Okay. And then I go look at his trailer and I go, you got a step deck or you got a low boy. And I'm like, what are you hauling on that? What are you hauling on that stuff? All lawnmowers, light machinery, bulldozers. And I'm like, dude, bulldozers. I'm like, you hauling oversized? Well, yeah, I am. Okay, well, that's a big freaking difference. Cargo limit needs to be higher. You gotta look at that debris removal coverage on it because bulldozer tips over. It's not gonna be a couple grand to pick that thing up. And obviously, you gotta freaking rate it as oversized guy. Like we were shopping with a carrier who did not take oversized haulers, and so I'm like, dude, your quote's not freaking good anymore. So yeah, there's that stuff. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. I am not trying to sell anybody anything, but I do have a Delphi AI where you can call. Message me anytime. It's got my brain trained on it. It does not use the internet. It's only information I have fed it. And so it's free right now. The reason I have it free is because I want to keep building it out. I can't think of every question you guys are going to ask, what people are going to ask. It will not be free forever, so take advantage of this opportunity while it's available. Again, I'm not trying to sit here and promote myself. I'm literally just trying to help people out. So, but if you guys do have questions on the trucking industry, I'd rather you guys be safe than sorry. And yeah, kind of helps me learn too. I mean, if you guys ask me a question, I'm like, man, that's a tough one. I can go look it up and find the answer. Respond to it on the Delphi AI. It remembers the answer. It helps me kind of look at it. But 99% of the stuff I know. And so I can help you guys out there so that you guys aren't having claims and trying to figure out the hard way and the expensive way of how to do trucking insurance. So thanks for watching. Again, I'm Hunter with Nelson Insurance.